I'm your host, Davida Shinsky, and you're listening to Live Without Limits, Dreams Come True with the Right Mindset. And today's show is Playing the Blame Game. 5 simple ways to help break the cycle of blaming. Pointing fingers is easy. Taking responsibility, on the other hand, is really, really hard. At some point or another, you might have found yourself stuck in the middle of the blame game. Maybe you're in the middle of this right now. Perhaps neither you nor your partner wants to take responsibility, or maybe you're fed up. You feel like they never take responsibility for their side of the events. Here's the thing: as soon as you start pointing fingers, everyone loses. There are no winners in the blame game. In fact, taking responsibility shows the other person how they should behave also. Sometimes we're just got to go first. As yes, it might not be ideal, but you should always exemplify the behavior that you want to see. So, how can you do this? And how can you finally quit the dreaded blame game? The one thing that I've always told people and said to my mother many a times is just remember how you treat me, because don't expect to be treated any differently. So remember this, that you show people how you want to be treated by how you treat them. Therefore, you can't expect them to treat you any differently. So how do you break the blame game? Well, Eckhart Tolle has stated, whenever something negative happens to you, there is a deep lesson concealed within it. The world you see is the way that you create it. Let that sink in for a second. The blame cycle tends to happen when you struggle to internalize and take responsibility for our own actions and feelings. We're trying to find anything external to attach our feelings to, which never really happens or works out well. You might certainly blame others for how your life has turned out. And given there are some things that are out of your control, yet at the end of the day, it always comes back to you. If you want things to change, you have to be the first to do the changing. In fact, this might take some serious digging into your own past and even childhood. So, what should you do? 5 tips to get over playing the blame game. The first one is understand yourself. Blaming is largely something individuals use as a protective mechanism. It's really painful to realize something is your fault, especially if you aren't happy with the outcome. Instead of looking outward, look within. Why are you so quick to blame someone else? What is stopping you from internalizing things? And yes, sometimes some serious therapy is needed to fully get to the bottom of it. No one necessarily escapes trauma in childhood. We all get to learn to cope in different ways, and some are better than others. Practice empathy. Everything has a side and perspective. Everyone has feelings. And when someone truly cares about you, they don't mean to hurt you. Usually, inevitably, There are exceptions to this. In other words, drop the ego. Put down your sword. Strive to understand. It might feel like you're doing something wrong, but understanding someone else's point of view is one of the best things that you can do. It can help you break down walls of assumptions and come to, to a common ground where blame has no fault. So, what do you think about empathy? And what do you think that it means? And how important is it to you? Always think about the things that you can do to help bring the things that you want in your life back to you, and look for things that can really help you. Own your own actions. It takes two to tango, as arguments rarely involve one person. Before pointing fingers, try to look inward and ask yourself where you could improve. What could you have done better? Usually, there's something. None of us are perfect. Well, think about it. There's always something that we've done. And remember that none of us are perfect. Look at the problem as a team. Let's drop the you against me attitude and instead try to decipher the problem. What is the problem? How can you tackle it as a team as opposed to opposing team members? Take a moment when you need it. Emotions run high, and it's okay to get upset, but it's how you manage it that matters the most. If you find that you're too heated to try to see where you could improve or how you can take responsibility, take a break, take a second, and cool off. When you do this, it can help to write all those awful things about the other person. Once you let that out, try to look at the problem from the other person's perspective. Then write down 3 to 4 solutions where you can do better the next time. So, how do you stop the blame game in a relationship? While using the above can help when blame takes center stage, here are a few more tips. Don't work on building a case against your partner. Let it go. Forgiveness goes a long way. Stay calm. Practice self-reflection. Use compassion. Communicate your feelings instead of pointing blame. I feel whatever when you whatever. So let's do this an example. I feel bad, or it makes me feel bad when you take advantage of me. How does that sound? Try to avoid saying you, since this often comes off as accusatory. Stop playing the blame game and blaming others for your unhappiness. Unhappiness is something that comes from inside you. No one around you can make you happy. Now, you may get a good feeling when you're around someone who's positive and get a bad feeling when you're around someone who's negative, but that's still a feeling that comes from within you. It's not a feeling of what they're doing to you. But here's the thing. If you're in a relationship with someone who's toxic and they're saying things to you that make you feel bad, then the best thing to do is get away from those toxic relationships. Stop playing the blame game and blaming others for your unhappiness. When you give others control of your happiness by using blame, you'll find that it really is difficult to be happy. In fact, you'll often feel quite the opposite, and you'll likely frequently feel out of control. Instead, take back your power. Look at yourself and try to focus on changing your own over changing others. You'll be surprised how quickly things start to go your way when you do so. And remember this, blaming someone for your unhappiness is not going to change and not going to make you feel any happier. What I'd like to do is tell you about a 5-day challenge that I have that's called Change Your Thoughts, Transform Your Life. We have 5 different days. On day 1, we talk about those subconscious thoughts and their effect on you and your behavior. On day 2, we talk about toxic relationships and their effect on your mental health. On day 3, we talk about the workplace and how communication can affect your mental health just in the way you speak to each other, because we all have certain behavior patterns, and those behavior patterns dictate how we speak to someone. And if you understand and learn those behavior patterns and learn how to adapt the way you talk to someone to their behavior pattern, then that's going to determine the relationship you have with them. And on day 4, we talk about changing those negative thoughts into positive ones. And then we finish up on day 5 by reviewing everything and talking about where do you go from here. And if you go to changeyourthoughtschallenge.com/join the challenge, then you can sign up to take the 5-day challenge. And I look forward to seeing you there.